Welcome to Sera and Sarge. Hit the like button and subscribe.
Hi guys!
Welcome again to our
Sera
channel.
and Sarge.
Yes. And Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
And go Buffalo! Yay, Buffalo Bills this year. Our Super Bowl. The Super Bowl is ours.
Today we want to do something fun.
Yeah, just different.
Yeah,
so.
something different, something fun. We get asked a lot, you know, some people ask her what's it like to marry a white or Mzungu or whatever, and I get asked the same thing, so we just wanted to basically share our story in the cultural clash and how it's made for some stress times, some funny times, and just really amazing.
Yes, it is. So as he said, we have been asked many questions, not only on the channel, even like among the friends. They would be asked like, how is it like, like a marrying, what is like the culture differences or the culture show, stuff like that. So as he said, some of them are funny and, it can be stressed because the culture differences, sometimes you don't really understand each other because of the culture.
It's not so much stress, it's stress not knowing
Exactly.
that you may be offending somebody because you
don't know.
You don't know.
Exactly.
And things in my culture, like for instance, I will call my mom and ask her, can I come over?
Yes.
And like for her, that's something like you just go to their house.
Exactly. So growing up where you grew up, so we never asked permission from the parents that you want to go see them. You just show up.
Yeah.
So growing up we didn't have phones anyway where it was, but even if probably we had the phone, the reason why I see that I can call it would be just like maybe to inform my mom to make my favorite food, not like can I come. So when we got married, because before we got married his mom lived out of state, so I didn't really get to see her, but now she lives here. So I didn't know that, and then when my mother-in-law moved back, he would just call her like, hey mom, can I come over? I'm like, your mom is home, so why are you asking her for permission? So to me I was like, that is weird.
Yeah, in our culture, first of all, I really love that part of her culture. Like where people just come over, they share meals with each other, all of that. Like if someone comes in the house, you automatically start preparing food and drinks and stuff like that. Like for us, that's unheard of. Unless you're having a specific party or something like that, but
or you were expecting them, you invite them over for dinner or something, but somebody in their culture is not going to show up at our door without knowing and just start cooking. It doesn't happen. But for us, as he said, people can be driving around where we live and they'll be like, hey, are you home? I'm like, yeah. Because now we're in America, at least they just remember to ask, are you home? But still, you don't know if I'm home. I have other planned events or something else going on. It's just like, are you home? I'm like, yeah. So like, oh, we're around the corner, we're passing by. To us, that's normal. I'm home, as he said. If they get here, I would just like, start making something and...
Yeah, or if someone's sick or something like that, or mourning the loss of someone, they'll come over, bring milk and stuff like that. So, like if we're out of milk or something, I'll joke with her and say, hey, can you tell everyone that I'm not feeling good?
Yes. I remember when he lost his dad, and then, his dad died in Florida. So when he came back and, people like in the community wanted to come visit him, you know, he's mourning his loss, but he would joke when they come, he's like, I hope you brought milk, and I'm like, what is wrong with you? But for those who know him, he jokes a lot, and because I'm used to that, but before I used to get like, what is wrong with him? But you know,
yeah, that's probably one of my flaws. I joke a lot, like, too much.
So another thing, when I got the kids, and my mother-in-law would call me sometimes like, can I take them over, or I'm like, before when we get married, I didn't really ask him like, why do you ask permission to your mom? It was like you know when you get married, you're still like learning each other, and besides, I didn't really speak fluent English, was still like really limited. So, and I'm like, and he's so close to his mom, so that's why I wasn't like, I'm like, why does he have to ask permission, and he's so close to his mom? And then when we have kids, my mother-in-law will ask me permission if she can take them and they can sleep over. I'm like,
but it's not like you're asking.
I understand.
You're
like
doing it out of respect.
Exactly.
She might have plans for the day, or she may have be gone. Like, she may not even be home. So you just kind of asking in a way to say, hey, do you have plans today? Can I come over?
I understand now. I understand, but at the time I was like, that's like, I was like, this is a weekend. It's a weekend. She knows the kids are gonna be home. Why permission? Like, to me, like, I remember back home, if I woke up in the morning, I wanted to go to grandmother, I would just go there. no, like, I would just, you can just pack your whatever, your bag, and just go there and stay there as long as you want, you know. So it was, that one was like a different, until I started like, I understand living in America, and sometimes like our culture, it's really good, as he said, there's no perfect culture, where there's good things in one culture.
There's good in both, there's bad in both, and
exactly,
it's just very, very fun and interesting to see different cultures like this in depth. You know, one thing that I had a hard time with was like, when you're sick, in our culture we give people space. We give them time to rest, to feel better. Like, when you're sick, in her culture, they come to visit you, which is a very sweet thing to do. But the problem is now you gotta get up and cook, and you gotta do all these things while you're sick. So it kind of puts a burden on you that you don't really...
Even if you may not cook, because we probably have some people around there to help you, but as you said, and when they visit, it's not like they're gonna come at the same time and leave at the same time. It's like ongoing.
Throughout the day.
Yeah. You know, a few people can show up and see you after they leave. Some people are gonna show up. If you really need rest, it's gonna be hard. So it's our culture, we are used to. But when he started like saying his view, I was like, that's right. Because sometimes you really feel tired. It's the same thing when you give birth and you are at the hospital. So the following day, and people will visit you. To us, we are used to that. It's a beautiful thing. But at the end of the day, sometimes you really feel tired. And but it's something really nice. I don't see I don't know, like, but I don't see that in America, but to us that's beautiful. But sometimes I think we overdo that because, you know, sometimes really by the time you're done, you feel so tired, and you know.
Then I remember her dad came in from
for the wedding.
Yeah, from Rwanda for the wedding. Oh my gosh. Everything I was doing, it was like, oh, you can't do that in our culture. I remember one time we went to go visit someone like in another state, so we were driving and we went on the highway and we stopped at a rest stop, and as we're going into the men's room, when I walk in, I see my dad running out, like coming straight out, And I'm like, man, what did I do? Something's wrong. Or he was with a crowd of friends and I came to sit down at that table. And then he got up and left. I'm like, man, what am I doing wrong, man? But then she explained everything after we laughed. And it was really funny. There's just a lot of things in her culture, like that stuff I don't understand the purpose behind it. Like you're trying to get closer to your father-in-law. You're trying to, you know, enjoy, build a relationship. But in your culture, they're not allowed to do that, basically.
You can, but like I don't, myself, I don't understand, and maybe like grown-up people can help me. It's like done out of respect, but again, it's like a restriction. You don't really build close relationship with somebody if you just like restraining yourself. And that's another thing which is so different from my culture and his culture. Like the relationship with mother-in-law, to us, like it's like when your mother-in-law, I remember back home when they came, I don't know now because we live in different countries, but back home when they come to visit you, like your mother-in-law is home, like they couldn't even eat on the same table. Like it's kind of like made somebody feel so uncomfortable.
Yeah, let me say something. I understand it's respect. And obviously it's a good thing to show honor and respect. But the part I don't understand is like what more respect is than to show your love for one another. That's as I said, some of them I don't understand, but to me, for example, like the relationship I have with my mother-in-law, she's like a friend to me, and like the same way I feel like comfortable talking to my mom. Like if my mom was here right now, I would be free. It's the same thing. Like to them, I love that part because to them you are a child of that family. So why treat you differently? Why approaching her differently than you would approach your mother? So even for me to talk to her and like, hey, I love you, it's something in my culture we never ever hear. Not on the in-laws growing up, we never like express. I love doing that because I know a lot of African men especially are very uncomfortable with the word I love you. Yeah. So I'll go out of my way to say, hey bro, love you. And just the look on the face is like.
And then all they say is like, oh, thank you.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah, I don't get love back. It's just, oh, okay. Thank you, or okay. And then they.
Yeah, they like some of them who are like I used to hear, but now they just like I love you too.
Yeah, like Diego. I'll say, Diego, love you, bro. He'll say, you crazy, man. And then he'll walk out. And then I'll go to the door, but you didn't say it back.
Yeah.
But then my friend Edward, big shout out to Edward.
Yay.
Eddie. He said, man, I love you, bro. Like, he started saying it back to me. Like, he really started to understand it. And he does it to this day, so.
Yeah, I feel like the younger generation, they're experiencing like a different, like than when I grew up. And because we live in different cultures and countries, people are adapting. But growing up where I grew up in Congo, we never ever hear from parents telling you, I love you. I don't know those who lived in big cities maybe, but in our village, I don't know, I just guess we assume the parents love you. It's something because you never see it, you never question it until you start traveling and see different culture. I'm like, that's so sweet. Like I remember like my dad used to tell me I love you, or like wrote to me when I was in high school, because we go to high school early, like from 12th grade. Once you're done with 12th grade, that you go to high school. Most of the time you're like a 12, 13, and you live in boarding, so you don't come home after like each 3 months. So he used to send me letters, and he would just write like, my beloved daughter, at the end he would say like, I love you. I'm like, what is wrong with this guy? Because I wasn't used to that until like I, started growing up and having my own kids. That's something you really you feel like you're not saying it enough. Even though you keep telling them, I love you, you feel like you're not really saying it enough. But growing up, I wasn't exposed to the same thing until I got here and see grown-up people like him calling his mom like, hey, I love you, or his mom calling him, I love you. At first, I was like, what? Yeah. And then something else that, like, kind of like I couldn't get from the beginning. When I started going to college here, so I went to college in Africa before I moved to the United States of America. So back home, going to college, like you would be dressing up like you're going to a job interview or office. People really dress up. But when I started attending college here, I would see some kids in pajamas, pants. I'm like, or in like those short, how do you call them?
Yeah,
the really
Daisy Dukes.
And I would be like,
booty shorts.
yes, those. It shocked me, and I was like, oh my God, what is this? So I'm kind of like used to that, but at first I couldn't understand how you can go to school like dressing up like you just like jogging or just doing chores in the house.
Yeah, but then you got your naughty Irish girl shirt.
That was the best.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then I picked her up one day from school, and she must have had on a shirt that obviously she didn't really understand what it was saying, but she walked around all day on a major campus here in Buffalo, and it said naughty Irish girl on it.
It was a funny part. It was a gift. It was a gift from one of my best friends in the community from Africa. Of course, she didn't understand. I never read the word. Even if I did at the time, I couldn't really understand
what people were thinking when they saw
you. Saw me that day, but I used to wear that. I was still like a girl with that big tummy. So I was like with my jeans. I looked so so beautiful, and and when he saw me start cracking up, I'm like, what is wrong with you? So yeah, it was funny. Another thing that
this is my naughty Irish girl.
Yep. African Irish, right? So another thing that shocked me and kind of like shocked him too, those who are familiar with the most of African country know they do what we call dowry before you get married. It's just like it varies between the countries. Like in my culture, it's cows. So if you want to marry a girl from a family, you give them cows, and the amount of cows depend on how many you have. So it's not like there's a set amount. Some will give like a 10, 20, whatever, I don't know, but it's in terms of cows. So when we started dating and we get serious and he expressed interest of marrying me, I'm like, hey, do you do dowry here? He was like, oh, what is that? So I explained to him, and he used to joke a lot that he came home one day, he's like, no, he called me, he goes like, I have an idea. So he said like, you saying so it's a cow? I'm like, it's not one cow, gotta be many. But he said, so I have an idea. So I will go to Tops, and then what did you say?
I will build a cow.
Yeah.
I'll get cow ear one day, cow legs, cow ribs.
So we ship them to Africa. So
I was trying to buy cow parts.
Oh, it was so funny. So that they don't have, but to us that's very important. You can't, like, any girl who never whose dowry was never paid, you kind of like consider not married, really.
Yeah, and the crazy part is our culture, the woman's family pays for everything. Isn't that crazy? Like,
it's crazy. Like,
that doesn't make sense,
yeah,
to be honest.
To us though, we have two type of wedding. I can say we have traditional wedding and white wedding, as they call. I don't know why they call it white, white wedding or church wedding. So traditionally, to us too, it's kind of like a more the bride the bride family that takes care of that.
The best was watching my family suffer for hours through a traditional wedding.
Because of word
they're
exchange.
so. My family is so impatient, and like and it takes like literally hours for like this whole ceremony to take place.
Yeah, we were rushing. You call that hours, but we rushed because we took like a 2 hours because we did the same.
Bill
thing.
was going. Bill was going nuts, man.
So to us, if you were you're not from Africa, you want to marry a girl from Africa, that's something you need to expect.
I'm outside walking with someone, and they just grabbed my hand.
Yeah,
like
a
this.
guy.
It was a guy, and he's grabbing my hand like this, and I went like this to move it away. And then I never understood, and then it kept happening to me.
Yeah.
And then I'm learning Swahili, and then I read like the culture, and it was saying like if someone grabbed your hand, if another male grabbed your hand, it means they really have a respect for you or a
Kind of like a
bond.
friendship. Yeah.
It means you really consider them real friends. And I felt so bad, like, man.
The way you brushed them off.
Yeah, the way I brushed it off and just... Because in our culture, obviously, you know what that means.
Exactly.
But then, so after the holding hands thing, then this person used to call me honey all the time. Hey, honey. And so he'd grab my hand. Hi, honey. And so I'm thinking, what is going on, man? Is this some undercover stuff? I don't understand what's going on. And then, because he's been around us, she always called me Honey. So he thought my literal name was Honey.
Yeah, what like the guy just moved from Africa to America, and you gotta understand the part where I'm from. We don't speak English; it's French. Right now, probably because of the internet but his generation, so he didn't know a single word of English. So for him to keep hearing me calling him honey, he thought that was his name.
Hi, honey.
And a funny part is one of my friends took them for shopping, and then they said, we need to buy honey in our language. So, and my friend took them over where the honey was. Then the guy asked, what is the name of honey in English? Because in my language we call honey ubud. Ubud. And he said, what is the name of honey in English? So he said, it's honey. He goes like, no, honey is Seraphine's husband. That's how we really came to understand the meaning behind what he, And then as you were pointing out about baby showers, we get through this period of when they just moved, we had, one of my friends had a baby shower, and then after her it was me.
There were like 4 or 5.
And then when it was my turn, and he had it like
and we went to the same church, so
it's a baby shower.
They would say baby shower.
For Seraphine,
downstairs.
He's like, why is every baby
called shower?
Being called shower? Recently, so got a baby. You called him shower. Now Seraphine's baby shower.
Why does everyone love the name baby shower?
That's the beauty of my culture. Like the older generation, they're not afraid to just like they just say everything. And that's one thing else that in my culture, he, you know, in America, I don't understand that part. You know, it may be being respectful of somebody or not wanting to hurt people. You don't walk to somebody, even if they're your friend. You don't go like, oh my gosh, you're gaining too much weight.
Oh yeah, that's what I love.
Yeah, but in my culture, like many people we just
in their culture they'll say, "Man, you're getting fat." like
whoa, last time you are so fat.
you are so fat, like so straight. And in our culture, that's so offensive. But I told her I really love that because it keeps people, and as bad as we hate to hear it, it also motivates us to do something about it instead of trying to pretend that we're not fat. So they say, "Oh, you're fat," and like it's really, I think it's really good, even if it's offensive.
Yeah.
Like it challenges you. It makes you become self-aware. Like a lot of us know we're fat.
Exactly, but
But
you don't want to.
we don't, unless you're
that.
told it.
Mm-hmm.
We want to be in like some denial. So I think it's like there's a lot of good things in your culture that I tell you all the time I love so much.
Mm-hmm.
Like just being around her and her culture, like came like a whole different perspective of life.
Yeah.
Like it reminds me of the way America used to be. Like when I was growing up, we had morals. We had these respect for one another. Like in your culture, to the reverence you have for elderly
yes.
and for
anybody
parents.
who's like
parents
yes.
and elderly is like something I love so much. Like how you guys treat elderly and parents with so much respect.
Yes, I remember what when we were still dating, so we used to go somewhere doing Bible studies, and I remember the first time I came close to what like I could understand myself was seeing a teenager girl being disrespectful to her dad because her dad would not let that girl having her way. And the way she was speaking to her dad, I was like, this is crazy. And I was telling him, like, I remember back home, even when I was in university, so I used to, like, stay on a campus. But when I was home during the break, imagine, like, I'm in the college, but I still had a curfew. Like, if my dad says you have to be home at this time, that was the time I have to be home. If I kept late, I have explanation to make. So to us, as long as you live under your parents' roof, you respect them. And it doesn't mean you don't disagree on some point, but the way you talk to them, it's different from how, I'm not saying like it's all the kids, because I have seen some, like his families that I know, their kids are like really one of the most like a disciplined kid with respect. I haven't seen any issue, but in general, there's too much disrespectful.
I was disrespectful to my mom. Like if you would have known the person I was growing up, like it's embarrassing. Like
it's hard to believe.
Yeah, it's hard to believe I used to be that way. Like.
So I have experienced that, like seeing that, it shocked me. To us, it's really, no matter how old you are, you cannot be disrespectful to your dad or your mom. You always have to respect them. You're living under their roof. I always tell people, I used to have curfew being in a university, and I used to stay at the university. So I could just come home and just say like, what I do at the campus, but that's not our culture. And that, it's a beautiful thing. And
same with marriage, how you view marriage. Like,
yeah,
we view marriage like it can be replaced. Like in other words, if there's a trouble or a tough time, you can bail out on marriage.
Yeah.
And then, and I think a lot of people have this perception of me in that sense, like, oh, he's a white man, he's just gonna divorce her anyways. Like,
Yeah, that was
and
like
that's
a
not the view.
of that's like as a Christian who truly like a believer. I'm not only saying Christian. There's some other people who still have tradition, believe, but mostly Christians we have different views. It doesn't mean that the marriage that fell apart are not. Some of them are not believers, but in general, Christian we have these views on marriage. But we're talking about in general as
But I
culture.
think the culture's
Yes.
stronger.
Yeah, it's
A lot of Christians get divorced here.
exactly. I know
Because the
that's what I'm saying.
culture is
Because of the
stronger
culture,
than it's- yeah.
yes, you kind of like can be patient on something, and that was one of the things that many people were telling me that oh, you getting married to a white, you would be divorced like in 6 months, and others were asking me, did you sign a contract? I'm like, I don't know, what are you talking about? I'm like, he's a Christian. We have the same view on marriage. If not, I wouldn't have proceed marrying somebody that when you talk and you feel like you're not going anywhere. And you know, every marriage have, you know, difficult here and there, but that's something that has never crossed our mind to just say like, you know, we have to end this and
Yeah.
we're gonna be married for 11 years.
Yeah, and we have
11?
a rule not even to
Yeah, it's 11 or 10.
say the D word in our house.
Yeah, I remember that the pastor who wedded us, who happened to be a white. So that was one of the advice, or
Yeah,
like
advice.
he gave it to us. He was like, argument will come, disagreement will be there, but never threaten each other with like a divorce or something. That's, you know, because sometimes we don't understand that how much power we have in our tongues.
And you put that doubt in someone's head when you say something like
Exactly. You're like, oh, does he really think about that, or does she really think about
Yeah.
that? But as I said, it's something that has never crossed like our marriage, and so like right now I guess like we kind of like understand each other's culture, and I remember he went to Africa in Kenya,
yeah.
so we were trading him, like, you know, when you see my mom, don't just go there, hug her. It's the first time you see her, blah blah. But on the other hand, we call my mom, I'm like, you gotta expect it.
So first thing I did was hug their mother.
So he didn't follow any instruction at all. But I kind of like prepare my mom. I'm like, it's a different culture, so just let him be. He's your son. Just let him be one of your kids. And of course,
And I hugged her. She might have been embarrassed or whatever it is, but by the time we had an understanding. Like, and
Exactly.
she literally cried when I left.
Yeah. So, and then because my brothers were there, they're just hanging out, and you know, so I understand like for my mom, it wouldn't just be like she's just going to, but
Yeah,
and
like
that's that's what I love more about their culture. It's that relationship, not feeling like I'm so close to his mom. Sometimes he get jealous. He's like, I think my mom loves you more.
I'm not jealous.
I'm just kidding. But like I'm that close to his mom, really so close, and I am so blessed to have her. She's like more like she's like my mom and my friend.
She
and
said, make sure he stays with you, right?
yeah, it wasn't like a bridal shower.
Yeah.
So, and you know, people are giving me gifts and explaining like the reason behind what they're giving me. So your mom gave me a coffee maker, and then she goes like, my son loves coffee. Make sure you make coffee for him every day, and please keep him. So every time we argue, I'm like, guess what? Remember your mom said I need to keep you. So if I kick you out, you don't even have where to go. But I do joke. It's not like I'm serious.
Yeah.
When we want to joke, I'm like, if I kick you out, you don't even have where to go because your mom said I need to keep you. But you know, that's how close we are. That part I love. And being respectful, it's the same way I respect my mom. It's the same way I respect my mother-in-law. I love that part of their culture more than mine because it's kind of like I feel like they put like a restriction there. You don't be yourself.
But it's not even like a comparison thing. We could both learn from one another.
Exactly.
If we could take and mix like. There's things like she explains to me, and then I have a better understanding. Like, wow, this is why so and so, you know, has this view or whatever. You start to understand, like, the worldview of people are different, and when you start to understand the worldview, you start to understand people.
Exactly.
So, and then there's times I'll explain. Her, like, she'll think some of the stuff we do is rude, but if I explain why we do it, then she knows.
Yeah.
Like, basically, when you grow up, like in Africa, there was a society that grew up with morals in these. We're more of like our rudeness. It may seem rude, but it's really a protection. You know what I'm saying? Like we're like
it's like a back home we are more like a family friend community oriented. Here it's like a more individual. So I guess that's where that kind of like some of the stuff we see different. But it wasn't
always like that.
Yeah, I do understand it wasn't like that growing up. Like
we used to, like, we would go to neighbors and borrow sugar, milk, like anything.
Wow,
like,
that's beautiful. It's like it still happened in back home. Like if you have your neighbor and like I'm going to cook, that's something used to happen. I'm like, oh, I'm out of salt. You would just run to your neighbor like, hey, I need some salt.
But then like what happened was divorce hit. When divorce started getting popular and families were broken up, like a lot of morals kind of went away.
Yeah, because for example, let's say here, the street, if it was back home, I would know every neighbor and we have really good relationship, you know. But here you may have next door neighbor, you don't even know their name, and sometimes you really want to step out and make friendship, but you don't know how they're gonna respond, and you kind of like feel, you know, restrained. And I hate that part, that I can live with people here and there, but I still don't know them. And still, but I see
we
few
talk
of
to our neighbors.
Yeah, but our neighbors, we have a couple of them who are like really nice. They just come out, we introduce each other. But I never went in their house. They haven't come in our house. But if it was home, it would be different.
Yeah.
So that's some of the fun things that we have been experiencing here and there. Feel free to share like your comment, your thoughts, if you were into like a different, like a culture relationship or interracial relationship. Let us know what you have been. And
tell us some of the things that you've experienced or what you do like and don't like about different culture, or for those who are here, what you do and don't like within the American culture system.
Another thing I forgot to mention is like the misconception about like many Americans have about Africa. Africa is a continent with a lot of countries, but some people think like Africa is a country. And you will meet with the people, they're like, oh, you have an accent, where are you from? Like, I'm from Africa. It's like, oh, I have a friend, he's from Nigeria, his name is so-and-so, do you know them? I'm like, I'm from Central East, Nigeria is West. So that misconception, they just feel like Africa is a country.
Yeah, I'm embarrassed to say this. We were at a family gathering.
That's what I was about to say. It wasn't even a family.
No, it was like not a family. It was like the boyfriend of a family.
Your cousin. Yeah.
And he said, "Oh, do you see a lot of giraffes?"
Did you see lions in Africa? I'm like,
yeah. Like, we have this perception that Africa's all, like, village
Jungle,
and no
huts.
shoes and
Yep.
flies all over the place, but Africa is a beautiful continent.
It
and
is.
many countries are. I went to Kenya, and the gap between poverty and rich is so big. That's the unfortunate part.
Yeah.
But when you go to rich areas, even those areas in Kenya are way more beautiful than our
Than
areas
many-
here.
Exactly.
Like people would never imagine that this is Africa.
There's
Because they have such a wrong perception of what Africa is. But it's the same way. People look at America and say, "Oh man, it's like heaven." It's
exactly. So that's it goes both ways.
Many people want to come here. I want to go there. But
Exactly. It's just so funny, and many people think like in America. Not even like. Let me even give my example. Before I
Yeah.
came to America, one thing that was different from us. When we were in high school, we learned about geography, so we could draw like a world map. So I knew about like the United States, about the states. I didn't expect like America to be like a single state, like how many people, but I never thought there would be like there's a homeless or poor person in America, and that's like most of people I know who wanted to come in America. They think everybody's rich. You know, we do jokes sometimes. I remember one of my friends in the community told me when they came here as refugees and they met with the case worker at the airport, and he knew English at the time. He asked her, "So where's my car?" So he just expect he was going to be given a car and a house because like you're coming in America to America.
Everyone
So
is.
he's like, "Where's my car, kids?" So, but as he said, the gap between poor and rich, it's really the same. There's a lot of differences because these are developed countries, but still, there's stuff you see here, it's not different from
And
what
the
is
thing-
back home.
like I want people to understand, all African need is opportunity. Like, right? Like you see Africans who come here and they have opportunities because it's America,
Yes.
right? And what they do with that opportunity, they go to school. You inspired me to go back to school. I had no plan to go back. Go to school, they start businesses, they own houses. Like, when they're given the same opportunity as others, they not only
They excel.
match
in
it, they excel it.
Yes, and the big, as he said, the big opportunity many African want is like education. Like to us, education is so dear to Africans. So when you get here, like education is there, but if it's like you have to pay from, pre-K all the way. It's not everybody who's gonna afford. It's not all the countries. I don't know like many countries, but those that I know I live there, you pay. So many people when they finish high school, you don't really have money to go to universities, and there is no like a student loans like here to go to college. So to us, education is so dear to us. When you get here and you are given an opportunity, you grab it. But for Americans who live there, some of them, not all of them, but there's some who have been living here who have the same opportunities, but they don't take the opportunities. But as he said, it's so funny because you will see many people who want to go to Africa, and then Africans who want to come to America.
Well,
I
tell her I would love. I seriously consider moving to Africa.
Yeah.
Like,
so if you see us
to
in
Kenya.
somewhere in Africa, in East Africa or West Africa, don't be surprised.
Yeah.
Because it's our dreams.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the whole continent is like really growing. You could see it. Like,
Exactly. And there's a lot of stuff you can do back home too that would benefit people. I feel like there's a lot of potential that can.
and truly, if the people who came here got educated, got all their things together, and then went back to help their home country, would be so much better.
Yeah, the problem is the political conflicts
Yeah.
that are always in there. So just, I wish
Well,
we
we're
can
getting
have
there
sta-
too.
Yeah, I wish we can have a
Even us,
stable.
we're borderline. I know it's not close to what you've been through, but
Yeah.
this is new for us. We never went through this amount of political instability.
Yeah, so that's like if the the political whatever was stable, and as you said, people come here and get education, go back Africa, you wouldn't even want to live here because it's so stressful.
Yeah, that's the part people don't grasp.
Yeah.
It's a simpler life,
Mhm.
I think.
Yes.
From my time there, it's just a simpler life. Like, I know there's a lot of stress, but even here, there's so you're stressed with things.
Exactly.
Like, the things we crave for is what keeps us in bondage here.
Yep.
But that's a whole nother topic.
Yes.
Like people think, oh, you have this, but they don't understand that car you just bought. You're working for it now.
Oh yeah.
And now you have to suffer through a job you don't like because you got to pay for this new car that you got. And and in this country, I think we have the wrong message for people. Like, we should be encouraging people to open their own businesses and take that route.
I think like maybe we can end up
Yeah,
here.
that's a stricter.
No, one thing I want us to talk maybe would be like about maybe credit cards next time, because I have heard many Africans reaching out to me like, can you just educate us about credit cards, blah blah blah. I'm like, I'm not an expert there, I'm not gonna claim that I know a lot, but he's American. I have some information, I have some experience with the credit cards and how sometimes we trap ourselves in there because that's what the picture being shown, and before you know it, the Bible say when you owe somebody, you become a slave. We can talk about the smart way to use that. So maybe
In credit
next time.
building.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So next time we may cover that, and if you have any other topics that you want us to cover, we are ready. And so let's have fun. We promise you this year is gonna be like a more fun talks. So we'll be just having different conversation, and we'll be probably interviewing some people who we think that it can give you information for you to keep going and inspire you to study your own thing. And so just stay tuned and please click that red button.
Hey, Hold
What?
on, I gotta toot my own horn.
And like is gonna start breaking.
Oh, what is this, people? Huh? What is this?
Alrighty.
Yeah, explain that one.
I don't know how to explain that. So, as he said, that I inspired him to go back to school. He went there fully prepared, and he finished this last year in December.
With honors.
With honors.
Yeah, I
now,
graduated with honors.
Now just get put in my face like, what is this? You thought I could not do it. I'm like, hey buddy, I have honors too. So it's kind of like a competition here now with
Yeah, well, you know that the master degree you have is going down. Mine's going up.
my doctorate is coming.
Right.
Yours go down. Okay, we love you guys, and thank you
Yes.
so much for your time and watching, and share this video, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so that you won't miss out. And
we're gonna put the series into one big video. We'll still keep it in parts
yeah,
for the
because-
7 habits, but we're gonna make it into one continuous video, and then break down timeline of where's what, so it's easy for people to navigate through the videos.
yes.
So that's coming.
Alrighty.
Thank you. God bless.